So, another day, another review. I'm sitting in, I'm pretty sure, the same parking space that I was in last night, about 12 hours ago, talking about The Curse of La Llorona. And I'm back again to review a very different film. This morning I got up and I went to see Pokémon Detective Pikachu, to give it its full and proper title. So, some of you will know who watch my channel. I say like there's a broad audience. I have two children, a girl of 10 and a boy of 6, and they are big Pokemon fans. However, I did not take them with me this morning to see Detective Pikachu, not because I'm a mean mummy, but because their dad's taken them. So I wasn't going to miss out, obviously. So off I went, 37 years old, to see Detective Pikachu by myself. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So the story goes, you've got Rhyme City, where Pokemon and humans live side by side. They no longer battle them, catch them and battle them. It's a peaceful society, and this is all orchestrated by a character played by Bill Nye. They've created, him and his son have created this, not quite utopia, but this city, like I say, Rhyme City, where Pokemon and humans coexist. And people have Pokemon partners, but they're not captured or held captive in any way. It's sort of a harmonious bond. The Pokemon chooses you, you choose them. Everyone's happy. And a young guy called Tim is called to Rhyme City when his dad, who is a detective, goes missing / dies. And while he's in Rhyme City, just to sort of wrap up his dad's affairs, he meets a Pikachu who can understand him and who he understands. So the idea is Pokemon can talk to each other, as can humans, obviously, but humans and Pokemon can't communicate, except in the case of this one chap, Tim, and this one particular, wow, I'm articulate this morning, this one particular Pikachu. So they team up and decide to try and find out what happened to Harry, which is Tim's dad. And that's the premise. You can't talk about this film without talking about Ryan Reynolds. Now, I love Ryan Reynolds. I mean, he's a very handsome chap, of course, but I think he's one of the best comedy actors, and just actors generally, because I've seen him in dramatic stuff and he's very good, but he's such a perfect fit for this part of playing the voice of this Detective Pikachu. He's just very funny, naturally very funny, delivers the lines really well. Script's good, actually, solid, some really good jokes in there, and it's a really decent mystery. And what it took me back to was Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which I went to see on my 7th birthday, which is, as I said, well, I said at the start how old I am, over 30 years ago now. Oh my God. But the thing with Who Framed Roger Rabbit is, as a kid, I was entertained by the spectacle of humans and cartoon characters side by side, and I still think to this day that film holds up on every level. The animation's exceptional, but the story, the actual plot, the mystery is superb, and it really doesn't, in both cases, with this film and with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, they don't hold back on the mystery side of things. They really don't dumb it down all that much. So as a kid watching Roger Rabbit, like I say, it was about the animation, and as I got older I appreciated the mystery. It's like a proper gumshoe detective noir, and this really had a similar vibe for me. It was a proper mystery. Now, I know my children go to see this with their dad. My son particularly, who's Pokemon nuts, isn't gonna get the subtleties and the, you know, the sort of intricate corners of the plot. He's going to enjoy it because he's going to be seeing real Pokemon alongside humans on screen. And I must say, the Pokemon are exceptionally well animated. And even I, knowing not that much, or certainly nowhere near as much as my ex and my children about Pokemon, still got a kick out going, there's a Bulbasaur there. Oh yeah, that's a Mega Charizard. I recognise him. Oh yeah, there's a Charmander. And they're just so well animated, and they blend in so perfectly with the humans around them. The animation on Pikachu particularly is insane. Like, you can see his fur, like, and at one point it gets wet. And you can see it looks like wet fur. They're so well rendered. After last night's horror film, I was complaining about sort of schlocky, naff CG monsters. This was the opposite. It looked great, and I loved the way they blended, like, because it wasn't a real place, Rhyme City, it had this lovely mix of sort of American and Japanese. It reminded me of Big Hero 6 with the San Francisco, is that what it's called? Where the sort of cultures and the worlds and the superpowers have collided, and you've got this hybrid of, like I say, of US and Japanese culture. So I really liked that. The detective story was genuinely good. Actually reminded me of the sort of mystery in Zootropolis as well. So that, for me, worked really well. And there was a couple of Pikachu's gags that were a little bit more adult, but not to the point where it put me off, because when you go too far with that in-jokey, here's one for the dads, or here's a gag for the grown-ups, and you go too far with it, it winds me up. I always feel Pixar has struck that balance really well, where they'll entertain the children and the adults in equal measure, but without having to resort to, I'm going to say it, slightly smutty or maybe really in-jokey humour. Much as I love Shrek, those films have that sort of, occasionally they go too dark, too adult, and I always found that a little bit off-putting. And I mean, bear in mind, when Shrek came out, I wasn't really that old, because it's ancient. So yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed this. I liked the mystery. There were some twists and turns I really didn't see coming. I absolutely adored Ryan Reynolds. I haven't even talked about Justice Smith. This is the lad in the lead playing Tim Goodman. He was excellent. Really watchable, really natural, believable. I've had a little look at him on IMDb, and I haven't actually seen anything else he's been in. I recognise some of the names of the films and stuff, but I haven't seen him in anything else. Definitely a one to watch kind of vibe. He was very good, very watchable, natural. And yeah, I always remember reading interviews, going back to Roger Rabbit, which is a favourite of mine, reading that Bob Hoskins sort of nearly lost his mind making Roger Rabbit, because he continually had to pretend, and they'd say, like, if you're going to grab Roger by the throat, please make sure your hands are together, not separated, because if your fingers are separated, we have to paint in between your hands. So it was a real challenge for him, but I really felt that everybody in the film, but Justice Smith particularly, who the majority of the time is sharing his screen with Pikachu, did a really good job of making me believe that he had a Pikachu on his shoulder, or that he was genuinely talking and reacting with one. So an in-depth prior knowledge of Pokemon and all things Pokemon is really not necessary. It's very good. Nothing too scary, I wouldn't say. Although there was a screaming child carried out of the cinema quite early on, and I just looked as this parent walked past me carrying, I think, what was about a 2-year-old, and I just thought, why? No, this is me ranting about cinema etiquette again, which I was doing last night, but why bother taking a child that small to cinema? They're really not going to enjoy it. But 5-6 years old and up, there's a lot to like here. Good mystery, great performances, very funny, a good family film, one that, the parents don't have to sleep through. I liked it a lot. I hope they make another one, because I think it would work, although, well, I can't say anything else, because that would be #spoilers, and I am not that person. So yeah, big thumbs up for Detective Pikachu. Enjoyed it a lot. Don't know what's next. What's next? Possibly The Hustle, is that what it's called? I'm not a fan of Rebel Wilson at all, but I might give it a bash, depends. But yeah, I'll get Detective Pikachu uploaded. As ever, if you've enjoyed what I've done, hit subscribe, leave me a comment. whatever the comment may be. Do you know, I've just realised that knocking sound. Can you hear it? Of course you can. I've got a solar pug. I've just stopped him. There's a solar powered pug called Edmund who lives in my car, who wears glasses and a bow tie. That sounds like I've just had some sort of mental break, doesn't it? But there really is a pug who sits in my car, and yeah, when the sun shines, his little arm waves like one of those weird Chinese cats. So that's what that noise is. But you didn't hear it last night because I was in the dark. There you go. Fun fact. All the fun facts about Katie's car. I've definitely gone on too much, so I'm gonna end this, go home, get it uploaded, and yeah, do whatever. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't, or you have, or whatever, let me know. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.